Chapter 12. Changing Cultural Traditions in Europe, 1300 to 1800. The medieval world in Europe. During the ancient period, Europe was dominated by the Roman Empire, which controlled much of Europe, Turkey, and Egypt for a long time. Great cities like Rome and Alexandria flourished. The culture that had been developed in Greece and Rome, the sculpture, painting, buildings, as well as literature, philosophy, and science was of a very high order. When the Roman Empire declined after 400 AD, there were no large empires in Western Europe. Europe came to be dominated by a social system called under feudalism. Political power was with large warrior landlords who controlled the villages and peasants. The peasants were mostly serfs who were bound to their lords and had to till the lands of the lords, work in their workshop, and also fight for them in wars. Culture of people came to be dominated by a Roman Catholic Church which emphasized adherence to Christian faith. It discouraged people from thinking for themselves and asked them to believe what the priests told them. The great cultural achievements of the ancient period were forgotten and lost. This situation began to change after 1300 AD. The peasants had begun to resist and fight against serfdom and control of the lords and the church. For example, there was a great revolt of the peasants in England in 1381, which ended serfdom in England. Similar movements were taking place in other countries too. The control of the lords and the church over people had begun to change. The people enjoyed more freedom. Long-distance trade between European countries and China, Arabia, India, and Egypt was reviving, and many new towns and cities sprung up in Europe, where traders and artisans lived. A new cultural movement began to develop in Europe, which is called Renaissance or rebirth. People began to go beyond the limits set by religious priests and raised new questions and found new ways of answering those answers. Answering those questions. Renaissance. There is a vast amount of material on European history from the 14th century. From the 19th century, historians used the term Renaissance to describe the cultural changes of this period. The historian who emphasized these most was a Swiss scholar, Jacob Burckhardt of Switzerland. Jacob Burckhardt of Switzerland. In 1860, he wrote a book called The Civilization of the Renaissance in Italy. The revival of Italian cities. With the expansion of trade between the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic countries, the ports on the Italian coast revived. From the 12th century, as the Mongols opened up trade with China and as trade with Western European countries also increased, Italian towns played a central role. They no longer saw themselves as part of a powerful empire, but as independent city-states. Two of those, Florence and Venice, were republics, and many others were court cities ruled by princes. Humanism and universities. The literature of the ancient Greeks had reflected an interest in life. They had been vitally interested in the world in which they lived. Later, students of the ancient Greek literature, which dealt with the nature and interests of man, were called humanists. They became interested in this world rather than in a future life, as the scholars of the Middle Ages had been. Everything in nature, science, and the arts that affected man now was important to the humanist. Humanism started in Italy, but soon spread into France, England, and the Netherlands. Universities were established to teach new subject laws and religions. Educated men became interested. One of the greatest of these was the Dutchman Erasmus. Artist and realism. The humanist ideas extended to art and architecture too. In the sphere of visual arts like painting and sculpture, this took the form of realism. Artists observed nature, the people and places around them, and sought to represent them as they were. Artists also began to study remains of Roman culture, their buildings, sculpture, etc. Their admiration for the figures of perfectly proportioned men and women sculptured so many centuries ago made Italian sculptors want to continue the tradition. Andreas Vesalius, a Belgian and a professor of medicine at the University of Padua, was the first to dissect the human body. This was the beginning of modern physiology. Many artists, like Leonardo da Vinci, studied human anatomy so as to make their paintings and sculpture realistic. The use of oil paint as a medium for painting also gave a greater richness of color to the paintings than before. In the colors and designs of costumes in many paintings, there is evidence of the influence of Chinese and Persian art. Architecture. The city of Rome revived in a spectacular way in the 15th century. The popes actively encouraged the study of Rome's history. They studied the ruins of the old Roman buildings to revive the old Roman style, which used tall pillars, arches, and domes in buildings. This inspired a new style in architecture, which was actually a revival of the imperial Roman style, now called classical. The printing press. If people in other countries wanted to see paintings, sculptures, or buildings of great artists, they had to travel to Italy. But in the case of the written word, what was written in Italy traveled to other countries. This was because of the greatest revolution of the 16th century, the mastery of the technology of printing. For this, Europeans were indebted to the other people, the Chinese, who first developed paper and printing with blocks. A new concept of human beings. One of the features of humanist culture was a weakening of the control of religion over human life. Italians were strongly attracted to material wealth, power, and glory, but they were not necessarily irreligious. They considered the acquisition of power, wealth, and bodily pleasure as desirable and not something to be avoided. The aspirations of women. The new ideal of individuality and citizenship excluded women. Men from aristocratic families dominated public life and were the decision makers in their families. They educated their sons to take their place in family business or in public life, at times sending their younger sons to join the church, although their dowries were invested in the family businesses. Women generally had no say in how their husbands should run their business. Often marriages were intended to strengthen business alliances. If an adequate dowry could not be arranged, daughters were sometimes sent to convents to live the life of a nun. Obviously, the public role of women was limited, and they were looked upon as keepers of the households. Debates within Christianity. Trade and travel, military conquest, and diplomatic contacts linked Italian towns and courts with the world beyond. The new culture was admired and imitated by the educated and the wealthy. Very few of the new ideas filtered down to the ordinary man, who, after all, could not read or write. You had seen earlier that the church had dominated the religious and cultural life of people in medieval times. In this process, it had become very powerful and rich and also corrupt. Humanist scholars began attacking this and questioning the need for a priesthood and its interpretation of Christianity. In almost every part of Europe, peasants began to rebel against the taxes imposed by the church. While the common folk resented the extortions of churchmen, princes found their interference in the work of the state irritating. In 1517, a young German monk called Martin Luther launched a campaign against the Catholic Church and argued that a person did not need priest to establish contact with God. He asked his followers to have complete faith in God, for faith alone could guide them to the right life and entry into heaven. This movement, called the Protestant Reformation. A major achievement of the Reformists was to translate the Bible into the popular languages of the people and printing large quantities and making them available to all people. Earlier, Bible was only in Latin, which ordinary people did not understand. The ideas of Reformation took hold of many people in Germany, Holland, France, and England. In all these countries, people with diverse faith or interpretations of Christianity emerged. Thus, the monopoly of the Catholic Church was forever broken. Beginning of the modern science. The Middle Ages had accepted as authority the knowledge of the past handed down from former generations. Most men were not interested in the investigating the world in which they lived. The few who were interested used strange mixtures of magic and superstition. But Roger Bacon was a serious searcher for truth. He performed some experiments with metals and chemicals and probably had a crude microscope. He worked out theories that suggested the practical usefulness of many inventions that have since been made, including steamships, automobiles, and airplanes. Despite Bacon's work, the true scientific spirit did not develop until late Renaissance. Galileo, an Italian genius, perfected a telescope that made it possible for him to see a ship 50 miles away as clearly as though it were only a few miles away. This instrument also aided in the study of astronomy. Explorations of sea routes. During the Renaissance, Europeans extended their limited knowledge of geography. There were several reasons for this. The compass and the astrolabe, which helped sailors the direction they were going and their location, had been invented. Ships were improved so that they were more seaworthy. The more thoughtful sailors now doubted that they would fall off the edge of the earth if they went too far out to sea. Better maps were made for their guidance too. Constantinople fell into the hands of the Turks in 1453, and the trade routes between the west and the east were closed. All these conditions stimulated an interest in geography and willingness, sometimes even an eagerness, to explore the new sea routes. Christopher Columbus determined to find a new route to the east. He believed that the eastern shores of Asia lay across the dark Atlantic, and so he set out with 3 small ships to go there. After a long, dangerous voyage, Columbus reached land on an island on October 12, 1492. He thought he had reached the East Indies and called the natives as Indians. Was there a European Renaissance in the 14th century? Recent writers like Peter Brook of England have suggested that Brookhart was exaggerating the sharp difference between this period and the one that preceded it by using the term Renaissance, which implies that the Greek and Roman civilizations were reborn at this time, and that scholars and artists of this period substituted the pre-Christian world view for the Christian one. To contrast the Renaissance as a period of dynamism and artistic creativity and the Middle Ages as a period of gloom and lack of development is an oversimplification. The cultural changes in Europe at this time were not shaped just by the classical civilization of Rome and Greece. The archaeological and literary recovery of Roman culture did a great admiration of that civilization. An important change that did happen in this period was that gradually the private and the public spheres of life began to become separate. The public sphere meant the area of government and of formal religion. The private sphere included the family and personal religion. The individual had a private as well as a public role. He was not simply a member of one of the three orders. He was also a person in his own right.
మా వీడియో గనుక మీకు నచ్చినట్లయితే లైక్ చేయండి, షేర్ చేయండి. ఇలాంటి మరిన్ని వీడియోస్ కోసం మా ఛానల్ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోవడం మాత్రం మర్చిపోకండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ వాచింగ్.